Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the Wide Eye Sports Podcast. We got a very special duo episode for y'all today. Dalton, unfortunately, has a new career he's starting, so he won't be able to join us this week. And Spoon is unfortunately stuck at his job as well and will not be able to join us. So it's just me, my man Riley here. We're going to go over everything from playoffs, MVP predictions, all that good stuff this week. But as always, we're going to get it started with the weeklies. We do an MVP, a biggest loser, and our game of the week, which we're going to do a little twist on today because it's only the two of us. I'll go first with my weekly MVP, and I have two. I have Minnesota and the Las Vegas coaching staffs. Both coaching staffs were phenomenal this week. Las Vegas took that team that was kind of in the dump. And I mean, Devontae Adams said that before the game earlier last week that he was ready to run through a brick wall for this new head coach already. And I was like, whoa, that's a quick turnaround. Like, granted, he's been in the locker room a little bit, but I was still really shocked to hear that he was like that amped on this guy. And then the Vikings head coach, Kevin O'Connell, he was able to literally, as Josh Dobbs is in the game, knowing no terminology, been there for 4 days, he's telling him in the play, all right, this is the play call it to the guys. Okay, now here's what the play is. This guy's going to be running a high-low concept. This is where he's going to be at this time. Just kind of watch out for this and spy the mic, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Josh Dobbs went out there and played a hell of a game with O'Connell in his ear. And Brian Flores played a great game on defense. I just think both coaching staffs deserve a little round of applause. So that's my weekly MVP. Riley, who you got?
Yeah, so my weekly MVP is C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
He threw for 71%, 470 yards, 5
Dude.
tuds.
I mean,
On the season, he's 7th in yards, 8th in touchdowns, and has a 14-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which I would assume is best in the league. There's no one beating that.
yeah, there's nobody better than that. Unless somebody's got like 24-2, and that wouldn't even be better, just something near it.
Yeah,
I don't
that would at least be comparable. But I
yeah,
don't
I
think
don't
anyone's even close to
no, I don't
that
think anybody's
those
close to that.
numbers.
I fucking love CJ Stroud. I am an Ohio State quarterback basher, and I think Ohio State quarterbacks generally underperform for the amount of talent they are given. And I
Mhm.
believed this about CJ Stroud before the season. And that man has proved me wrong. That dude is a baller. That dude is on a defensive football team playing fucking high octane offense. And I love
Oh,
to
yeah.
see it. I love
Oh,
to
yeah.
see it. He is doing it for all the offensive guys out there. I love it. D'Amico Ryans also deserves some, credit there for, picking CJ Stroud and coaching him up. So, but with
Does it
that,
not does it not make that Lovie Smith win at the end of last season that much better?
a little
That
bit, a little bit.
that win probably got him fired, and look
Yeah,
at what it's done for the
yeah,
franchise.
I agree. I agree for real. But that being said, coaching wise, this brings me to my biggest L of the week. And I have two. My first little one is Mike McDaniels. I mean, he said it himself. Like they're 0-3 against winning teams, 6-0 against losing teams, and he said it himself. He said, "You want to change the narrative, then change the narrative." And until they do, Miami's just not going to be looked at as a Super Bowl threat. They're going to be looked at a great offense with a meh defense and a meh team overall. But my real loser of the week is Josh Allen, Riley. I'm sorry. I know
Oh,
you're going to hate this, but he averaged 3.1 air yards per completion. He had a season high in poor throws, which are basically off-target throws as measured by sports or pro sports reference. He had 8 of them. Most he had was 7 before that. His wide receivers recorded 0 drops in the game, and he tied a season low in first downs gained for the offense. They didn't move the ball on the ground extraordinarily well, so I don't want it to sound like, Josh Allen's the problem with the Bills. I'm not saying that. He just had a terrible week. He had a primetime game against a good team where if you want to be considered a top 5 quarterback, you have to show up in that game and go hard. You have to be on point. And he did not do that for me. and he is my biggest loser because of that reason.
All right. I'm not gonna single Josh Allen out, but my biggest loser is definitely the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, no,
With,
that's
with Miami losing to the Chiefs, this was their opportunity. They have the tiebreaker. If they would have won, they would have
division.
they'd have the division and be in the playoffs. But with a loss, they dropped down to the ninth seed.
I mean,
And
the
it's not,
nine.
yes, Josh Allen wasn't pushing the ball deep, but he still went for 290, 2 tuds, and a turnover.
290 total. 290 total.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
290 total. He had like 255 passing yards, I believe, 265,
So,
something.
something like that.
258. 258.
It wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't a great game.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm starting to think that for the Bills to succeed, Josh Allen has to be playing MVP football all the time.
I agree with that. I believe that he has a great weapon in Stephon Diggs. I believe Dalton Kincaid's a great weapon, or will be one day. I think he's obviously a rookie, so you can't, throw everything on a rookie unless their name's CJ Stroud. But
Yeah.
I do believe he has weapons. James Cook, obviously. So he has weapons on the offense, and that defense is good. But when he's not on, everything runs through him. So if he's
Yes.
off, everything goes to crap. So,
Yes.
but that's the way they run their offense. They run it through him specifically. The ground game through him, the passing game through him. Everything runs through Josh. So if he's off, everything's shit.
Yes.
So, but that's
And
why.
looking at the rest of the season, right?
Yeah.
Buffalo has a much harder schedule than I would say Miami does.
Actually,
So
hold on. Give me 1 second. I can tell you exactly who has the tougher schedule according to strength of schedule metrics. You said Buffalo versus Miami. So Miami does have the tougher schedule by 2,
really?
technically speaking,
Huh.
because Miami's number 6, Buffalo's number 8.
Really?
Yes.
Maybe they're just higher on the see, I just sorted it
And then,
by tough games, 50-50 games, and for sure dubs.
oh
Like
no, this
I
is
didn't
based off of opponent win percentage.
Okay. So I guess maybe that does go in Buffalo's schedule. When I was eyeballing it, I was like, oh, Buffalo has the harder schedule.
I can double check it real quick if you
Oh,
want.
go for it. But
Unless
no,
I
the
wrote it down wrong.
Miami has Dallas at home, Buffalo at home. They're at Baltimore and they play the Jets twice. But
I was looking at their schedule. It does look backwards. So let me double check, make sure I have that written down right.
all right.
Okay, yeah, no, I had that written down wrong. They are number 4. I'm looking at it right now. I had it backwards. They're number 4 in strength of schedule, and Miami's number 6. So it is 2 still, but flipped. Everything
Okay.
else is
Okay.
good.
That's what when you said that, I was like, man, they must be a lot higher on the Jets and
No, I had it
Titans than I am.
written weird here, and I was like, that maybe those are backwards. So I did look, and it is backwards. So that's my bad.
Okay. But so Buffalo does have a harder road. And if they can't at least stay even until I want to say they go up against each other week 18. And
Probably.
if they can keep it so that game is up for grabs, I mean, they're fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah, no, that it's kind of similar to the way I think if somebody, I won't say any names here, if somebody can keep playing really well, if you can't, if you're watching on YouTube, you see what I'm doing, but if you're listening on Spotify, I'm pointing to my Viking stuff in the background. The NFC North could come down to the same thing. If the Vikings can stay this hot and keep moving, it could be. You could see some division games are for the division week 18.
So now that we've walked on to the NFC North, what are your thoughts on the Lions? Because
I think they
I think
are
they have a great
pretenders.
record, but I'm not that high on them. You know what
I'm
I
gonna say
mean?
this. Oh yeah, for sure. Detroit's got a great offense. I think they're very similar to Miami in a lot of ways, in different ways than Miami is, but they have a great offense and a not so great defense. They have a cakewalk of a schedule. I have it right here. They have the fourth easiest schedule remaining of any team in the NFL. So they
Oh,
are
okay.
literally getting a cakewalk of a schedule, and they could honestly vie for the 1 seed, which is crazy because they're only
Yeah.
1 game out right now, and Philly's got a fucking gauntlet coming up. So if
Yeah.
Detroit keeps
Yeah.
knocking off these bad teams and winning games that they should win, Detroit might end up with the 1 seed as a subpar team, in my opinion.
And
But
that's
that's what
huge as far having that home field advantage for Detroit would be insane for them.
I mean. I walk in their house, I'll curb stomp them. I don't care what they are. Walk into Detroit and curb stomp everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Detroit fans. We've actually struggled. The Vikings, anyways, have struggled in Detroit the past few years. I will say the Detroit fans always come out against the Vikings. I don't know what it is about us. I don't really talk that much shit to Detroit fans, but like before this past season, the only 2 games that had ever sold out at Ford Field were both against the Vikings. Like just
Well,
random
you
Vikings
you
games.
think when I think of Detroit, I really don't think of a historic rivalry that I
It's
do
because they've
with
never been good
Bears,
enough to have a
Packers,
rival.
and Vikings,
They've
Bears.
never
Like
been
they're
good.
just
It's
kind of
just
the
they've
odd
never been
man
good
out.
enough. They've just never been good enough.
Yeah.
And
To be,
there's a lot of bias going on right now in
oh
the
yes,
NFC North
definitely.
teams.
But
But like if you look at it, the Detroit Lions have I think 1 or 2 playoff wins in their franchise history post Super Bowl. So like in like 6 total playoff appearances, 1 division title. Like
yeah,
I mean, I feel for you guys. I don't because you're my rival, but I do because that's hard. That's tough. But
yes.
anyways, we're getting off track now. We should move on. We're going to move on to our games of the week in which we're doing a little twist this week. Normally, me and the guys would pick our own personal game of the week. I just dropped my pen. Couldn't pick that up. We would pick our own personal games of the week and we'd tell you a little bit about it. But since it's just me and Riley, we decided to get the top 4 games of the week this week. And we're going to start with none other than Detroit at the Los Angeles Chargers. I think this is going to be a great game. I don't know about you. I think that Detroit versus LA, 2 high powered offenses with 2 middle of the road defenses. So I feel like you
Mhm.
should just, unless the over is 56, I feel like you should check the over now because I feel like this is going to be a really fun game to watch.
Yeah,
I don't know
no,
about
no, no, and I agree. I think the Chargers' offense is a little more explosive just because of their ability to throw it deep and all
Mhm.
the weapons they have. For Detroit, it's really a matter of how long that run game can stay hot. Because I'm not sure I have enough trust in Jared Goff to be the reason Detroit is winning games. You know what I
So
mean?
I thought I remember this correctly. The Chargers' current run defense is 6th in yards. So the Chargers have been
Allowed
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, 6th in yards allowed. So they've been stopping the run really well against other teams.
oh, okay.
So that it's another good like, it's a good matchup. Everything's good there. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. It may not be a 45-45 game because those are insanely rare, but I definitely think it has the potential to be a 28-30 game. Just,
Hmm. What is
some
off the top of your head? Do you know what Detroit's defense is against the pass?
I don't, but I can find out in 2 seconds. Give me 3, 2, 1. Against the pass, they are 15th in yards.
So middle of the
So
pack.
middle of the road, which
Yeah,
Keenan Allen's going to eat. Keenan Allen's
yeah.
gonna eat.
And didn't
He's gonna have a
he just went past 10,000 career yards
on that crazy like running back. I don't know why he turned around because then he had to he was like running down the for the fade and then he like turned around and then he had to
backpedaled?
lunge backwards. It was kind of weird, but great catch either way. Uh, with that, the next game up on our list is San Francisco at Jacksonville. Obviously, a huge game for San Francisco coming off 3 straight losses, but they're going into a Jacksonville team that I believe is 6 straight wins.
Yeah,
So
yeah, something like
who's
that.
gonna budge there? Or is San Francisco gonna be able to I mean, they just got Chase Young, so I don't know how much he'll play, I would assume he'll
Yeah.
play because they've had a full bye week to get him integrated into the defense.
Surely
But I
on
mean,
third downs and pure, he may not be as much on the field on early downs, but definitely on third and longs, third and
oh, for
mediums.
sure, for sure.
And another thing about this game is both teams are coming off of a bye week. So both
I mean,
teams are going to be that much more fresh and have had that much more time to prepare for one another.
do you think Jacksonville can do this? Do you think they can win? I think
Man,
they can. I think
I,
they can
I
win.
think I think it's really up to Trevor Lawrence.
Up to
I don't
T-Law.
I don't think they can win this game with Trevor Lawrence having a bad game.
I think it's up to one guy and one guy alone, and that has been popping off for all you fantasy managers out there, and that's Travis Etienne. I think their offense has been running through him on the ground, and he has opened up so much more for the people around him to be able to do. And if he
Mm-hmm.
has a big game, I think that offense will be hot and keep rolling. It's if their defense can stop the 49ers offense, which obviously can be insanely potent. So
Yes.
we'll see. We'll see. The next game up is the Houston Texans at the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, on paper, this looks Bengals are going to rout the Texans, easy peasy. But then you remember C.J. Stroud just threw 450 yards and 5 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. So this could be a 35-40 game because the Bengals defense isn't like insane,
Stellar. Yeah.
and neither the Houston tackles or the Houston Texans lead the league in missed tackles. So their defense isn't exactly balling out left and right. I think
Mm-hmm.
this is a high octane game. I think it's going to be a
And
big game.
correct me if I'm wrong, but Cincinnati with that win last week is still last in their division. Like
Which is insane to think about.
they need to win, but the Texans are insanely hot right now.
Yeah, and they are. Yeah, they're 5-3 in their division. It's everybody in that division is a winning record. Baltimore's on top at 7-2. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincy are all 5-3.
Yes. And I
That is,
think Cleveland and the Steelers would need to have kind of a late season meltdown for Cincinnati and Buffalo to get it. I think those are the two teams standing in the way of those two wild card spots for those two teams.
yeah. I mean, I see Pittsburgh having a meltdown. Let's see. I have them. I have their. Give me 1 second here. But if like off the top of my head, yeah. But they have the 22 ranked schedule, so they're on the back end of hard schedules. So it would be technically the 9th or the 10th easiest schedule remaining.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the
Yeah.
10th easiest schedule. Cleveland has the 11th hardest schedule remaining. And
But
then
the Steelers, we're in week 9.
yeah,
They have yet to have a game where their offense has gotten more total yards than the opposing team's offense.
that's crazy.
Yes, and
They-
and
I
they're 5-3. Like I think that this meltdown could happen at any week and be demoralizing. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
absolutely. That defense is good, but they're not that good. But at the same time, the Browns offense isn't exactly, rolling hot. I mean,
No.
Deshaun Watson did come out, and I like my initial thought for MVP this weekend that Deshaun Watson was in that thought because he played well, but he played meh. Well, he had like 215 yards, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, I believe.
Something like
So it's not like he came out and was like on fire, just the best quarterback of the week. So like he just did
I don't
his
think
job.
I don't think we have ever seen a drop like this in NFL history when looking at someone's career. Maybe who was that? Sean Alexander? Maybe
That's for a
Sean.
different reason, though. That's because Sean Alexander went from running behind the single greatest left side ever created by God to just normal
Mm,
offensive lines. So, like,
yes.
you go from God blocking for you to meh, normal people.
Yeah.
So, we'll have more for everybody on that. I'll do some research. I'll look up for next week. I'll look up the greatest drop offs in NFL history where people were just like here and then fudunk. Because like you got to think Dante Culpepper, that dude was an MVP candidate, blew his knee out, and then
Yeah.
poof,
But
disappeared.
before all the allegations
Herschel
came to
Walker.
light. Yeah,
Herschel
but
Walker. Vikings traded like 9 players and like 6 picks for him, only for him to rush for like 1,000 yards one season and then never cross like 600 yards again.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I
dude, it
didn't even
was.
know that.
Yeah,
That
they
makes
literally
Ryan
traded
Poles
like
look like the GOAT.
a genius. It makes Ryan Poles look like a genius. Herschel Walker trade is the worst trade in NFL history. Don't let anybody tell you different.
But
Um,
before all that happened, I mean, people were talking about him being better than Mahomes, and now he's
I wouldn't have gone. I would never have gone that far. Obviously, there was probably somebody out there saying it. I would never have gone that far, but he was definitely on that upper echelon of quarterbacks, the top 10 guys, where you're thinking like, all right, this dude can throw for 5,000 yards, and he could probably rush for 500 yards.
and
So like,
now in his best game, he might be the 15th best quarterback,
yep,
maybe.
he's mentally fried, man. That going through that stuff, what he went through, what he allegedly did or didn't do, the repercussions of that fried his mental state, and he is not the same dude he was before. Speaking of Deshaun Watson, Browns at Baltimore is our final game of the week candidate, and obviously this is a massive game. It gives the Browns a chance to get a game in the division. It gives them a tie or no, not a tiebreaker. I don't know where because the Ravens already beat the Browns. So I don't know what their
I think
uh,
after head to head, it goes to
in
the
division
division.
record, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
okay.
believe so.
So that would play out through the season, but this is a huge game for the Browns. It's on the road in Baltimore. Baltimore already beat them at home. I mean, you kind of got to have a like that defense has to come out there knowing like we are the identity and we will
Yes.
not budge because that's what they did against Arizona, in my opinion. This last game against Arizona for them, for Cleveland, was huge because they could have been like, yes, the Cardinals, whatever, but they came out and they're like, no, we're the fucking Browns. They're not getting a fucking point on us. End of story.
Hmm.
We are the reason this team wins. And they went out there, held them to 0 points all game, which any NFL team, you're going against, it's hard to keep them to 0 points. It
Oh
just
yeah.
is. Just bottom line.
I mean,
So,
you can't let them get inside the 50
yeah.
for a field goal attempt.
Yeah.
All
You
for
get it.
60 minutes.
Yeah. That's, and it was, so, Tooney, is that the Cardinals quarterback name?
I believe so.
Him
Yeah,
and
that
Johnny
sounds right.
Manziel are the only two quarterbacks to ever start in their first start and not lead their team to a single point. Those are the only two quarterbacks to ever do it.
That's a bad. That's
That's a
a
bad category to be in. So like
yes. Yeah.
it just shows you how rare this was and how rare this defense is. I'm not saying they're the 2000 Ravens, but as far as 2023 is concerned, they're the best there is.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a great game because I think Lamar Jackson is balling. I think Lamar Jackson has taken a huge leap as a passer this past season. And I'm really excited to see what they look like out there on Sunday. So,
I do have a question for you about that.
yeah, hit me.
Do you think Lamar Jackson taking more of a pocket passer role is going to hurt this offense moving forward because now they lose that versatility from play to play?
No, I don't think it will at all because I think the NFL is in a place where passing the ball only helps the offense. And everybody knows Lamar can use his legs. So, like, that threat is there all the time because the
Mm-hmm.
second they stop taking away the threat of Lamar's legs is the second he's going to run for 150 yards on you. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's choosing to pass first, but if he looks out and all his options are covered and you're rushing 3, he's going to take off for 12 yards every single time. So
Yeah.
like just I think Lamar is playing better football now, not statistically, but eye test wise than he was when he won an MVP. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I think he's balling out. I love the way Lamar looks. So we'll see. But with that, we're going to move on to our top 10. The thing I almost forgot last week, if you weren't here, I did ask Spoon, Riley, and myself. All three weighed in on this top 10 this week. Obviously, Spoon isn't here, but I will get it pulled up for us here. Share screen. All right, share. All right, here we go. So for those of you watching at home, on the border, just outside of the top 10, we have both the Seahawks and the Bills. The Bills dropping out as the Seahawks dropped out of last week's top 10. Then at number 10, we have the 49ers, who move one spot down from 9. We have the Cincinnati Bengals jumping into the top 10. And then we have the Dallas Cowboys at 8, dropping 4 spots from last week after they lost to Philadelphia. We have the Cleveland Browns jumping back into the top 10. They had fallen out last week. They jumped back in all the way up to number 7 this week. Then we have the Miami Dolphins at 6, dropping 3 spots after their loss to Kansas City. We have the Detroit Lions jumping 2 spots up to 5. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4, jumping 1 spot from last week. We have the Kansas City Chiefs jumping 3 spots up to the number 3 spot. And then the top 2 are the same, with Philly being number 2 and the Baltimore Ravens being the number 1 team in our top 10. Riley, you got any shockers here? Anything you're just blown away by?
No, not really anything I'm blown away by, but I do have a Chiefs question for you.
Yeah, what do you think?
Do you think they're as strong of a team as their record indicates?
I do.
Real?
Personally, I do. I think that this week against Miami, granted it was an overseas game, so you got to weigh that. You got to take that with a grain of salt because, whatever you want to say, traveling overseas into another continent has an effect on your body. You don't function as well. That's just how it works. That being said, both teams had to travel. So
Yeah.
both teams were not at 100%. And I said that last week, and I thought that would favor Miami. I thought Miami was going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City has the second best points per game defense in the league this year. That Pat Mahomes, we have said several times that Matt Nagy's ruining Patrick Mahomes' season. Patrick Mahomes is playing like Patrick Mahomes the last few weeks. He has been good. He has not been bad. He has been good. And he has been the reason their offense has won games. I think they are just as good as their record indicates, and I think any team should be scared to play the Chiefs right now because they're
Really? You'd go that far?
this is the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever had. Think about that. He has won 2
Yeah.
Super Bowls, and this is the best defense he's been a part of.
It is also the worst offense he's been a part of.
Yeah, but you have Patrick Mahomes.
I think it counters.
Nah, you have Patrick Mahomes. He is the offense. You could throw me out there with him, and he is the offense. He is the reason the ball moves. It's kind of like Josh Allen and the Bills. He is the reason they move the ball. Like, sure, Pacheco could come out and have a 150-yard game. Whoop-de-doo. That would be awesome. But that would be because of something Patrick Mahomes did. The defense is keying in on Patrick Mahomes. It's just Patrick Mahomes is the reason the Chiefs succeed or fail. And right now, they're succeeding. Now, partially due to that defense, but also partially due to the fact that Patrick Mahomes is balling out. I think, personally, that we will see Patrick Mahomes' top 3 MVP race at the end of the season. I think right now, he is top 3 in mine already. And so I think he will be right there at the edge. You don't think so? You think that the Chiefs aren't as good?
No, only because it is an offense-driven league, and I think that at some point this Chiefs defense is going to give up a game, and Matt Nagy and his offense will not be able to keep up. Didn't they put up 9 points 2 weeks ago? Didn't they have a 9-point game?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I mean, I don't know how you see Matt Nagy as a head coach give up play calling in Chicago and the offense gets better, and then
9 points against Denver.
Against Denver, yeah.
But that's a division game. Weird shit happens in division games. We've said that on this show several times. Weird shit happens in division games.
Yes, but not that weird.
Yeah, that weird. Listen to this.
KC ever scored that little in a game since?
Yes, they scored 9 points. Or no. Sorry. I'm looking at the wrong team. I have a perfect example for you. Last year, the Packers missed the playoffs, had a terrible defense, couldn't move the ball on offense. They routed a 13-4 Vikings team on Sunday Night Football, like 41-7.
Mm-hmm.
So weird shit happens in division games. I don't know why. It's. I mean, I do know it's because they play each other so often, but like weird shit happens in division games, and I don't. I mean, they put up 41 on the Bears. They put up 27 on the Vikings, who granted aren't the best defense, but it's a 14th ranked defense, so top half of the league. They put up 31 on the Chargers. They put up 19 on Denver the first time they played them. So obviously Denver's figured something out against them and plays them tough because it was 19-8 Kansas City the first time, 24-9 Denver the second time.
What are they? Those teams you named aren't exactly stellar defenses. How
No,
many points are they putting up against top
but
10 defenses?
they put up 23 on the Jets. I think that's the only top 10 defense they've played. Jacksonville, they put up 17, but I don't know if Jacksonville's a top 10 defense. We can
I
find
don't
out
think
though.
so.
We can find out real quick.
But
They
if
are
Aaron Rodgers is there
not a top.
for,
Oh, they are eighth in points allowed. Jacksonville.
I think I remember they give up a lot of yards, but not a lot of points. I think I
That's fair.
remember
Yeah,
that
yeah. They're
from
like
some Jags.
23rd in yards. 23rd in
Yeah,
yards.
but if Aaron Rodgers was still on that Jets team, don't you think they put up more than 23 points?
Maybe. We don't know.
Like, yes, and we
I
don't
I
know, but I think
I
we will find out in the playoffs.
I want to believe so, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers did not look good last year in Green Bay. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
he's
you're
like
you're not
washed or
wrong.
anything, but he didn't look good last year in Green Bay. And I'm not by any means saying like he would be garbage in New York, but if he's the guy that he was last year in Green Bay, I don't know if they put up more than 21, 23, 24 points in a game. Like
Mhm.
that's just me. But Grandy would have better weapons in New York, but I mean, if you're going to be Aaron Rodgers, you have to overcome a lack of weapons. So that's how I look at quarterbacks. That's just me, but everybody's got a
Well,
different opinion on that.
what is the difference in what Aaron Rodgers did and what Tom Brady did outside of? And I'm strictly talking not about winning the Super Bowls, but it's strictly as you're not bringing me talent. Okay, I'll go to a team that has talent. And he just ended up tearing his ACL. You know what I mean? Like these are two Hall of Fame
Tearing his
quarterbacks. That
Achilles. Tearing his Achilles. He tore his
is that not
Achilles.
what I said? What did
No,
I
you said
say?
ACL. You said ACL.
Oh yeah, tore his Achilles. But these were both teams that were with franchises for a long time and
Yeah.
left because they weren't giving them weapons
Yeah, I
when
agree.
they could no longer count on their physical talent to carry a
Yeah,
offense.
yeah, yeah. I agree completely. I agree. Do you have anything up to this point, just a season recap? Do you have anything you want to bring up, say, any notes?
Yes, I do have one question for you, and I was
Yeah.
going to save it for the rapid fire, but since
Yeah, hit
we've
me.
been talking about the NFC North, I'll drop
Hit
it
me in the
now.
face with it.
If Josh is it Josh Dobbs?
Yeah, Joshua Dobbs.
Joshua
The
Dobbs.
pastor not Josh Dobbs. Did you see that?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
the
actually
pastor not.
insane.
He's a
But
fucking astrophysicist, dude. Fucking
if
insane.
if if he gets you guys into the playoffs, do you think he's the quarterback next year?
No. So the Vikings said internally, this is an internal thing that got reported by a local reporter. The number one thing they were looking for in a quarterback at the trade deadline was a quarterback that did not impact future plans. So a quarterback that didn't cost a bunch, wasn't looked at as the long-term solution. I think the only way Josh Dobbs is the quarterback next year is one, Kevin O'Connell just goes, "This is my guy. I love him. Like I want to teach this guy. I want to mold him into I think he can be a great quarterback and I can work with him and he runs my
His
system perfectly." Or
his
we win a
his
Super Bowl.
career his career is very Kirk Cousins esque, just on different teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was a
yeah. He's
backup for a long, long time, and
mhm.
now he's been thrown into two teams where he's the starter.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's really, for what he has been working with, he has not done bad.
No, he's done very well. And Like I
Which is
talked
why
about.
I could see the Vikings being like, all right, we don't have to A, spend money on a quarterback, or B, spend draft capital on a quarterback. So let's build it up a little more and see what this guy can do.
I definitely see a world in which he is a bridge quarterback. Say, you know, we go into this year, we trade up and pick a Drake May, right? Like we go way up, pick Drake May. I definitely see a world where Josh Dobbs plays next year over him
Hmm.
on a $20 million deal while Drake May sits and learns. I see something like that. I also see a world where Dobbs is sent off packing. They re sign Kirk Cousins to a cheap deal because
Yeah.
he's hurt and 35 years old, knows the system. O'Connell loves him, comes in and is the bridge quarterback. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't, I think the only way Dobbs is the quarterback there next year is if we have sustained playoff success. If that's the case, he probably gets another look. Also, I am here to make a proclamation right now. If Josh Dobbs somehow pulls off the impossible, and I mean the impossible, and wins the Vikings a Super Bowl, I will shave every bit of hair off my head in solidarity with Josh Dobbs.
What
I will
is it?
alopecia. It's
Okay.
alopecia. It's the reason that Will Smith smacked Chris Rock because Jada has alopecia and Chris Rock made a joke, and that's why Chris Rock slapped him.
G.I. Jane, baby.
Yeah. Careful, careful.
Yeah. He might come in here.
Might pop up into bam. But no, so with that, we're gonna move on to our MVP race segment. We're gonna start doing a thing where we just talk about the MVP race, who we think's where, what we think's going on, up and down fluctuations, maybe every week, every other week. But we just want to stay in tune with the MVP race. So I think that there are currently 5 to 7 guys. So we're gonna go with 6 for this show. Is that fair? You okay with 6 dudes?
Yeah.
Okay. So my 6 dudes that are in on the MVP race right now that have a legitimate shot to win it: Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes. That was in descending order of their odds and likelihood. So Allen has the highest or the lowest odds, highest number
Really?
odds, and Patrick Mahomes is currently the favorite to win MVP. Patrick Mahomes is currently anywhere from plus 240 to plus 275. Hurts is plus 300 to plus 400. Jackson plus 400 to 500. Tua's plus 550 to plus 650. Burrow's anywhere from 7 to 900, and then Allen's anywhere from 1,400 to 3,000 right now.
I
So
think Josh Allen is being
we
slept
know
on.
what you think about Josh
No,
Allen.
no, I'm just saying the guy has more total yards than Tua.
Yeah.
I think he has the
You know what's
most
the most
total
important part
touchdowns.
of winning an MVP?
What?
Winning. It's the most important category.
If they win their division, does that not?
Yeah, but right now they're not even in the playoffs. If the
Well,
playoffs
hold
started
on.
today,
Out
they
of
wouldn't even
out,
make the playoffs.
out of all of those people, who has the least amount of help?
Out of all of those people, Lamar Jackson.
He has a top 2 defense, top 5 defense.
Oh, I thought we were just talking offensively.
Now I am talking both sides of the ball.
I don't. I mean,
I
but
think out of
but Allen has such elite weapons on the offensive side of the ball.
he has one
He
in a
has a
rookie.
top 5 wide receiver, 3 to 5 wide receiver. He has a good running game behind him. He has a good offensive line, and he has a good tight end. He is a top
But
10 tight end. Yes, I said that. Dalton Kincaid's a top 10 tight end. Fight me. He has a great deep threat in Gabe Davis, and Gabe Davis has proven that he can be a great deep threat. Now, that's what he is. He's not anything else but that. He is just a great deep threat. Let's see. I don't know what the Bills' offense is ranked or defense is ranked. Do you, off the top of your head?
I believe it's right around 10. I want to
Defensively, they are top. They are 5th in points defensively. Buffalo.
allowed.
Yep, fifth in
Yeah,
points allowed.
yeah.
So he's got a top 5 defense. He's got a true number 1 wide receiver if there was ever such a thing. He has a top 15 offensive line, top 10 to 15 offensive line. He has top 15 run game. I would say maybe even top 10 run game. Is that
How
fair?
many of those are coming from running backs and not himself?
Well, no, I'm talking about his running backs behind him. He has Leonard Fournette, Latavius Murray, James Cook. I think he's got good running backs behind him, is what I meant by that.
But I don't think they're producing as much. Look, what are they in total yards, and then subtract
Well, I can look at they are 16th in rushing yards
and that is
as a
with
team.
Josh Allen's 233 on the ground.
Yes. So
So
right
what
now
is
their leading rusher is halfway through the season, James Cook is on pace for over 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Latavius is on pace for about 350. And then obviously they just added Leonard Fournette, so we'll see what he can do. But Leonard Fournette's also going to help in the red zone a lot. He's a great pass blocker, and he's a great goal line back.
Yeah.
I just think that he has weapons and he's got a defense. Like, I think Lamar is the clear cut. Like, if anybody doesn't have things around them, it's Lamar, because Tua also has no defense, right? Like, he's got great offensive weapons. Like, we're talking the best offensive weapons on this list, but he has no defense to back him. Like, he could score 70 points a game, but the defense still gave up 25 that game, 28 that game.
Yeah, something
So
like
he still has no defensive help. Patrick Mahomes obviously doesn't. He has about as much as Lamar Jackson has, except a better tight end, but he's also got a top 2 defense this year. Jalen Hurts, I feel like is in the best situation out of everybody. I feel like he's got a good defense supported with a great run game, the best offensive line we have in football, and a great offensive play caller, and AJ fucking Brown. Let's go.
Yeah, Devontae Smith.
Yeah,
Is it
Devonta Smith.
Devontae or Devonta?
Devonta Smith,
Okay.
Heisman winning.
Devonta Smith,
Put some respect on the Heisman name.
Yeah.
And then Joe Burrow, obviously the Bengals have been up and down this season. They're really hot right now. He's got plenty of weapons there. He's got the best wide receiving trio. If Higgins, whatever's going on with him, who knows? But personally, my MVP rankings right now are Patrick Mahomes at 1, Lamar Jackson at 2, Tua at 3, Allen at 4, Hurts at 5, Burrow at 6.
I don't know. I think the only thing I'd change is I'd have Josh Allen at 1. Like, I understand the win-loss isn't the same, but there's no quarterback on his level. He's throwing over 70%.
But the statistics don't matter in that aspect if you're not winning. Right now, he's not in the playoffs.
Hey, quarterback wins aren't a QB stat.
They are for MVP awards. I hate quarterback wins just as much as the next guy. Kirk Cousins has been plagued by it his whole career. It's a dumb stat, but at the end of the day, when the AP press goes to vote on who the MVP of the season is, if you're not in the playoffs, you're not in consideration. And right now,
but I am saying this thinking Buffalo will make the playoffs.
Well, but right now, I'm talking about right now. And that's fair. You're thinking right now they will eventually be in the playoff picture, and I do too, for that matter. But I can't have him as my favorite right now if he's not in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at. And if he gets into if he wins his division, I think then we're talking, a three-headed monster, Pat, Lamar, Allen. We're gonna see one of them 3 win MVP. But if the Dolphins win that division, no chance Josh Allen wins MVP. 0% chance.
I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard for me to look at his stats and be like, no, this guy is the 5th best MVP odds. You know what I mean? Like his total,
what they are though.
His passing percentage, I think they're better than all those quarterbacks you named.
I'm just telling you what Josh Allen has one of the best teams around him and is currently losing. That's the facts. The facts are that he has a great team around him. He has a top 5 defense in points allowed, and he
Doesn't
has plenty of offensive weapons to succeed. And
isn't
he's,
he the only one you named with a defensive head coach?
I think so. Well, would you consider John Harbaugh a defensive head coach? Because I would.
I don't know. That's halfway
I
why I
would.
was asking because I
I
don't
would
really
consider John Harbaugh a defensive guy. I would not consider him an offensive guy.
know. Okay.
And
I
then,
thought he was calling the offense, but I don't watch that
I
much
mean, he
Baltimore.
may. I don't. I don't know for sure. We can find out.
Do you think the Bills are in a better spot with an offensive-minded head coach? Do you think Sean McDermott is starting to hold the team back?
No, I think you saw what could happen with with a truly good offensive play caller in Brian Babdall there. And obviously Babdall's struggling a lot in New York, but he did good in New York last year and he did good for Josh Allen. I think he
Mm-hmm.
was a major reason Josh Allen succeeded. And then so we are looking, we need full coaching history. Sorry, we're doing some on the fly impromptu stuff this week. Sorry if that bugs anybody at home. This was kind of a late scrap together episode that we didn't really expect to be so duo-y. So we apologize for any weird unscripted stuff. So with that, he was a special teams guy. He was a running backs and special teams coordinator his entire career until he became a head coach for the Ravens. He was a running backs and outside linebacker guy in Michigan. Cincinnati, he was special teams coordinator. Philly, he was the special teams coordinator. And then in 2008, he became the Baltimore Ravens head coach.
So that really doesn't help us at all.
When I think of John Harbaugh, when I think of both Harbaughs, I think of defense first.
Mm-hmm.
I think of defense. So I would say he's a defensive head coach.
Okay.
Because they don't, I mean, look, they have a great defense this year. They're always adding defensive pieces. When was the last time outside of this year with Zay Flowers that they went and got Lamar Jackson a true threat? You know what I mean?
Well, they have attempted to several times. Haven't they drafted 2 receivers in the first round in the last 4 years?
Oh,
Was
maybe. I
it
don't know.
Zay Flowers and maybe Rashad Perryman? Was it?
Oh, they did draft Rashad Perryman. I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
So
So
they
yeah,
have
so they did. They
tried
did
to,
try. They did try.
but maybe
They
that's
failed.
more of a scouting department issue
Yeah,
than
I
anything
think
else.
so. I think so. All right, with that, we're going to move on to our final segment of the day. Well, second to final segment, and that's our playoff race. We're just going to look at the overall playoff race picture. We'll start on the AFC side of things. Currently, we have Kansas City at 7-2, Baltimore at 7-2. We have Jacksonville at 6-2. We have Miami at 6-3. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati taking up the 5, 6, and 7 seeds, all at 5-3. So that's kind of crazy that we currently have all 4 teams from one division making the playoffs.
Yes.
That is insane.
And I would like to correct myself. Earlier, I said the Bills were in the 9th seed. That was I wrote my notes
Before the game last night.
Yeah, before the
They are
Jets
currently in
lost.
the 8th seed.
They are in the 8th seed.
Yes,
Yes.
they're 5-4 in the 8th seed. They are just above Houston, who's 4-4, the Chargers, who are 4-4, and the Jets, who are at 4-4. And then Indy and Las Vegas are both at 4-5, sitting 1 game out of the playoff.
So
2 games out, technically. 2 games.
I do have I guess a tiebreaker question.
Yeah.
The Bengals and Texans play this week.
Yep.
If the Texans win that game, they will have the same record. Will the Texans be above Cincy since they beat them, or is there some other tiebreaker that they sort that by?
No, I
Surely
think
it would
it would be
by
head to head
to
first. I'm pretty sure it's head to head first, so I think they would jump them.
Okay. So
And
that's another thing to look out for. Like the Texans could be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, so hold your horses. Give me a minute, okay? On the NFC side of things, we have Philadelphia at 8-1. We have Detroit at the 2 seed, 6-2. Like I said, dude, Detroit could end up being number 1. They could be the 1 seed. Dude, they have the 29th easiest schedule remaining. 29th.
But they need. Well, you said the Eagles had a tough stretch coming up, right? Because then the Eagles beat the Lions. Haven't they played?
I don't think they've played yet. I think they still have yet to play.
Okay.
They still have to play. And
Oh,
the Eagles technically have the 24th strengths of schedule remaining, but in that schedule, they have to play Kansas City, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, and the Bills. That
yeah.
is 5 insane teams to play. Now, granted, 2 games are against the Giants, and they have a game against the Cardinals, so that weighs it down towards the easier end of things. But those are 5 insane games that they have to
And
play.
what are I could be wrong on this, but with them beating the Cowboys last night, they have 2 wins against winning teams.
Yes, yes, they do. And
That
then
that's the big thing about all these like top 3 teams is yes, they have on the AFC and the NFC, they have a lot of wins, but not impressive ones. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I get that. I get that. The 49ers are coming up on Philly's schedule. They're in the 3 seed in the NFC. And then we have New Orleans in the 4 seed, the Seahawks in the 5 at 5 and 3, the Cowboys at 5 and 3 in the 6 seed, and your Minnesota Vikings at 5 and 4 in the 7 seed. Let's go. Who All right, tell me this. Tell me this. I'll do it in a second. Hold on. We'll finish the seeds out. Coming just outside of the NFC playoff picture is Washington and Atlanta, both at 4 and 5. Atlanta has the easiest schedule remaining of any team in the NFL. That's an important thing.
Yeah.
The Bucks, the Packers, both are 3 and 5. Both have top or bottom 3 schedules, and then the Rams at 3 and 6, who are a ways 2.5 games out. So it's going to be an uphill climb for them if they want to get back in things, but it's possible.
Yes.
But coming back to Minnesota, they tell me another team. If you took Tua and Tyreek, if you took AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, if you took Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, tell me how many teams do you think could win games if you took away their number one weapon and their number one quarterback?
Ooh. I would only, man.
I don't even know if Baltimore could do it.
Well, realistically, I think only bad teams would be able to do it because there's not that big a drop off in talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the
but that's
Bears
what.
won a game with Tyson Bagent,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Because
I
he's
think
an
they would
upgrade.
have.
Well, he's an upgrade over their starter though, so that's different.
Okay, but okay, slow. Coming off a 4 interception game, I don't think Fields has ever gone for 4. I think
I
he's
don't
had a
know if he
couple
is.
threes, but I don't think he's ever had a 4-piece before.
But my original point to that is that's what the Vikings are doing right now. They lost Kirk, JJ's out, and they're winning games.
Well, let's put a little bit of an asterisk next to that because Jordan Addison?
The rookie, you mean?
Yes, he will be a top 10, top 15 guy.
I would love that.
Like that is,
He's
and
good.
I'm
He's
just
great.
that's what
But
that's what I. It's not
but
like they really have what maybe not at this moment, but definitely next year they'll have 2 number ones.
yeah, but you got to look at. I mean, teams like the Bengals. If you took a backup and threw a backup in on the Bengals, and he had T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd to throw to, those are 2 great receivers.
Yes,
Ty
yeah.
is T. Higgins could be a number 1 on several teams. So like they couldn't do, in my opinion, what the Vikings are doing. All I'm saying is how many when you think of when off of paper, when you see what the Vikings are doing, it's way more impressive than people are realizing, I think.
Oh
I almost
yes,
put them in my
definitely.
top 10, but I feel like that was a little biased. So I didn't because I felt that was a little biased. So
No, and
I
I
left
would
them out.
like to say I did have the Vikings winning the division
Yep,
at the
as did
beginning of the
all. I
year.
think we all
So
did. Think we all did, but I mean, we will see. We will see. We're
yeah,
only 1 game back right now, so or technically 2 games back because Detroit had their bye week already. But that being said, I went and did a little season prediction on from where we're at now through the rest of the season. I had
for the
Kansas City,
Vikings.
no, for the whole schedule, everybody.
Oh, okay.
So I had Kansas City finishing in the 1 seed in the AFC. I had Baltimore finishing in the 2 seed, Miami in the 3 seed, the Houston Texans winning their division, edging out the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 4 seed.
Really?
Cleveland
Really?
in the 5 seed, Cincy in the 6 seed, and Jacksonville at 10-7 in the 7 seed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So it's getting spicy. And then I had Philly in the 1 seed, 49ers in the 2 seed, New Orleans in the 3 seed, Detroit in the 4 seed, because I had New Orleans beating Detroit when they face off. So that's where the tiebreaker happened. So they flip
Mhm.
seeds. Then I had Dallas coming in at the 5 with Seattle in the 6 seed, and then Minnesota at the 7 seed. I think
So
it'll
this was a question I had for Spoon, but since he's not here, I'll ask you. With that Jets loss last night, Dallas has yet to beat a team that currently has a winning record. Does that scare you moving forward? Because I think it was, what was it, five out of their next 9 or something like that is against winning teams.
I think Dallas got on their own hype train really hard early in the season after a couple really big wins. And
Mm-hmm.
the media loves Dallas. Dallas is a huge
Oh yeah,
market. So the media hopped on that hype train. I think the Dallas Cowboys are a winning football team. I do not think they are a Super Bowl winning football team. And that's where I'll leave
mm-hmm.
it. I think they're a good team. Do not think they're a great team. And they granted they almost beat Philly. They were really close to beating Philly, but that's a divisional game.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
if they if they trounce Detroit later in the season, we'll talk. We'll talk. But until then, until they beat an established team that's like, wow, that team's legit, like until then, like they got trounced by the 49ers and then the 49ers went and lost 3 straight.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got to see on that. But any surprises in that rundown I just had?
I mean, a little bit. I think the AFC East is going to come down to Week 18. It's Miami at home against Buffalo,
Yeah,
and
I had Buffalo missing the playoffs.
yes, but is it not nuts to think in that scenario if Buffalo takes the division, Miami's out?
Yeah. No, well, in this case scenario, no, because I had Buffalo at 10-7 and Miami is at 13-4. So
Oh,
in
okay,
this
okay,
scenario, no. But if they both were playing it up in the air and Buffalo was close and wins some games, I think Buffalo's got a tough schedule. So
yeah, yeah.
we'll see. They have the number 4 hardest schedule in the league coming up, and it's really hard to win some of those games back to back. And then you go on the
Which
road, and
only
then
helps his MVP odds. Make your
that's
bets now. Make
yeah,
your bets
seriously.
now.
But yeah, so I think the only thing I was shocked by, because I did all the games individually and then went and looked at the records. I think the thing I was the most shocked at was Houston edging out Jacksonville as the winners of the AFC South. I think that
I
really
think
shocked
they
me.
could be a scary team very quick in the
Nothing
next
to
couple of
lose, dude.
years.
Just nothing to lose. Just going out there playing ball, just going hard.
Yeah, but I mean a rookie quarterback who's putting up 470 yards, a rookie receiver Tank Dell. I think he went for a buck 50.
At
So
least
some,
they
yeah,
might even get a
something
buck
nuts.
65, something like that.
Do you have off the top of your head? Do you have any idea what their cap space is like moving forward?
They
Surely
have
they
good
can't
cap
have too
space.
much of it tied up.
I can tell you in 2 seconds.
Like
Three,
they go on a little bit of a
two,
spending spree and hit on a couple draft
one.
picks, they could be a top team.
Oh, maybe they have more than I thought. Let's see here. Or less than I thought, sorry. So this year they had 3 million. Um where is the there it is. Sorry about that. Trying to find the next. So next year they have $86 million in cap. The year after that they have their top 10 in cap. So they got plenty of room to spend money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think they could be a top contender next year and the year after. Once these rookies now have time to learn the game, they bring in a few more pieces. I think they could be a scary team in that division here in the next couple of years.
I agree. I agree completely.
But that leaves a lot of trust in a front office that has had more luck than hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a lot of pressure to put on the front office, and I don't know if the Texans front office, you can count on them to hit on that. You know what I mean?
Nope, but we're going to find out. I tell you that much. So,
Mm-hmm.
with that, though, we're going to move on to our final segment of the day. I got a few questions here. Riley's got a few questions for me. It's a little bit different variation of the rapid fire. Riley, I'll go first, then you go, then I'll go, then you go, then I'll go, then you go.
Okay.
Baltimore has now blown out Seattle and Detroit. Are these real blowouts, or is Baltimore just kind of being overhyped? They got lucky with a couple good wins. Yes, no.
I'm going to say they're overhyped simply because I am not that high on Detroit or Seattle.
Okay,
I think if they're in the AFC, they're not in the playoffs.
fair enough. Wait, you mean if they're in the NFC? You mean? You said if they're in the AFC, that you're talking about Seattle and Detroit. My bad. My bad. My
Yes,
bad.
if they are in the AFC, I don't think they're in the playoffs right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, you got one for me.
Yes. What is the worst team at the moment? The Giants, the Panthers, or New England? Feel free to throw the Bears in there. I won't be offended.
No. I'm gonna go with New England. You just lost to Washington, who just traded away two of its best players at home. I'm gonna go with New England.
And
Carolina, you got the rookie quarterback, you got the upside. The Giants, Daniel Jones is hurt. Like, you got
there's
pieces there. You got Saquon.
now there's been whispers the last couple of weeks, but I am hearing whispers on Patriots Twitter that if they lose this week in I think it's at the Colts, that they're going to start looking at
Bill.
firing Belichick. Yeah.
Well, whoa. Let's not get speculatory on that. Let's not.
Hey,
We'll come
it's
back to that.
just what the Twitter's telling me, man.
We'll come
You
back
got
to
to
it.
have faith in the Twitter.
We'll come back to it. All right. Josh Dobbs dropped 28 points. Team dropped 31 total, but he had 28 points total on the 6th ranked Atlanta defense. Okay. Is that a fluke and good luck recreating that? Or is that something that the Minnesota Vikings could probably replicate and maintain a high octane offense?
I'm going to go with both. I think the Falcons defense didn't know what Dobbs was going to look like on this Minnesota offense. Maybe they thought he was going to play a little more like Kirk. Maybe they didn't know exactly what they were going to get, and that attributed to the 28 points. But I think even on Dobbs' time in the Cardinals, he was putting up points. So I think this can be continued success going forward.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You got one for me?
Yes. Who had the bigger win, Cincinnati or Philly?
Oh, I would say, that's tough because Philly's win was big in the playoff hunt, but Cincy's win was big in their season. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati because the way they started, they really can't afford to lose any more games, much less against AFC opponents. So I'm going to
Yes.
go
Yeah.
with Cincinnati, even though I do think Philly's win was huge for their season. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. So,
Okay.
my last question for you is going to be, where would you rank the Kansas City defense? You can do top 3, top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20, so on and so forth.
I am going to say top 5, not because I am lower on them, but I think the top 5 defenses are all within a
So
little
close of each
bit
other.
of each other.
I got you.
Yeah.
You have like Cleveland and Baltimore defenses up here, San Francisco, Dallas, Kansas, like those guys.
Yes.
Okay. I respect that. All right. You got
And
any
I
more?
have one more.
Okay,
Now
last
this
question.
is way too soon. But is Drake May starting to look like the number one quarterback coming out of this draft?
Yes, he is. I have seen several people talking about the fact that Lincoln Riley is screwing over Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is not being taught how to run an NFL offense in college, which Drake May is. So Caleb
Mm.
Williams can have all the physical talent, all the, whatever you want to call it, the sidearms, the escapability, the pocket awareness, the footwork, all that he wants. If you can't run an NFL offense and make reads and understand defenses and high-low concepts and flood concepts and all that kind of stuff, you won't play in the NFL. And right now, Lincoln Riley is not teaching him those things. He's just putting him in a system and saying, go play my system. So who knows? Maybe he'll get to the NFL. He'll get paired up with his version of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and it'll all be okay. But he's going to need, Caleb Williams, that is going to need a great offensive mind to get him caught up into the NFL. And
wasn't that the same knock on Mahomes coming out? Is that
yeah,
Texas Tech offense? Didn't he
yeah,
also have Lincoln Riley? Yeah. Then
did he?
that
Did he?
he,
Yeah. I don't think Riley was at
I
Oklahoma before USC. I don't remember if he. No,
was at
Patrick
Texas Tech before.
Patrick Mahomes had the Arizona head coach.
Oh,
Who was that?
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. I think.
Okay. But if I remember right off the top of my head, the big knock on him was that Texas Tech offense hadn't prepared
The
him
air
for an
raid offense. The
NFL
air raid.
offense. Yes. And I think even Mahomes came out and said that even that first year he sat out, he really didn't start understanding the game until like week 8 of season 2.
Dude. Yeah, dude. So the exact stat or the exact quote from him was that during like that week 8 season 2 point, he still didn't understand how to read an NFL defense. Andy Reid was still having to tell him in his headset, all right, they're in a cover 2 right now, so you're going to want to look to the right side of the field and you're going to want to look for this and this, and then Patrick would take it from there. But like overall, no, he did not know how to just walk up to the line and read a defense.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I think that's what Drake May's going to need. Or not Drake May, Caleb Williams.
And that's what makes me think Caleb Williams could also have the opposite career of Mahomes, or maybe.
Who knows? He could have a Jamarcus Russell. Who knows? He could have all the physical talent in the world and no football ability. But that remains to be seen.
Yes.
Seems like a very boomer bust prospect at this point.
Yes, when he is demanding ownership of whatever team that drafts him.
Hey, we'll see where that gets him. But all right, Thank you everybody for joining us this week. We appreciate you sticking around to the end. We had a long one. We had a lot to go over. We will be back next week, hopefully full cast, strong, ready to go. Until then, thank you very much and have a great one.